Hi, it's Nancy. I thought I would talk a little bit today about an analogy that I've used with particularly parents when they're trying to kind of figure out their kids and their kids' emotional selves, and just something that kind of is helpful to kind of understand and even help kids understand their own emotional selves. And so here's an analogy that I've used before. And so inside of us, here's the analogy, inside of us, we have a big Ziploc bag. And in this Ziploc bag is all of the crap that happened to us when we were little kids that we've had to push down and shove somewhere. And so we push this stuff into a Ziploc bag and we zip it up. And then something else happens to it and we open up our Ziploc bag and shove that in there and zip it up. And so, somewhere usually for kiddos, the vicinity is usually between the ages of around 8 and 13 years old, somewhere in there. Our Ziploc bag gets full. This is different for different kiddos depending on the level of trauma and the level of crap that you've kind of had help it happen in your childhood. Nevertheless, for all of us, at some point, the Ziploc bag gets full. And when that happens, you can see a change in your child. A lot of times we'll refer to this as adolescence and, the change of puberty and things like that. But I think this analogy of the Ziploc bag getting full makes a lot of sense for people. And so it continues on like this. So once our Ziploc bag is full, every time we try to open up our Ziploc bag and put something in there and close it back up again, it's so full that something else has to leak out in order for me to put something new in. And so, what happens when you put foul, gross, disgusting, garbage, yucky, pukey stuff in a Ziploc bag and keep it somewhere warm and moist for months on end? It turns pretty foul. It starts to reek and it starts to really stink and be pretty gross stuff. And so, this new stuff that we're putting in, it's making room with leaking out all of the old foul, yucky, nasty stuff. And it makes us feel like sick and it makes us feel like emotionally throwing up. And so we start feeling like crap all the time. This is around about the time that kiddos start to care more about what their friends think than what their parents think. And so somewhere in the vicinity of adolescence is when that happens. And so, what happens then later on in your life? You still got this Ziploc bag full of crap from your childhood, and it's never been cleaned out. Well, part of my job in helping people with their finding their peace and ultimately their emotional health is to find that Ziploc bag, open it up willingly, and start emotionally puking all of that crap out. It's less pleasant than it sounds, and it doesn't sound pleasant. I describe it to people as the valley of the shadow of death. I'm not kidding. It's really nasty, disgusting, horrible, difficult work. Nevertheless, once we get that Ziploc bag cleaned out and we learn how to process our emotions in the moment instead of trying to store them and hold on to them for later, we start to feel a whole lot better baseline all the time. And so part of my job with working with people is to help them find their Ziploc bag, determine what's in there, puke it out. And that can be through talk therapy, can be other modalities, internal family systems, brain spotting. Those are a few of the other things that I'm trained in order to help people to process that yucky crap. And, my job is to kind of proverbially hold your hair back while you puke and, hand you a glass of water and a Kleenex when you're done. So that process being one that is far from pleasant, nevertheless, has really good long-term effects in terms of anxiety, depression, and other things, anger, other chronic feeling states that people get kind of stuck in that they use as a coping strategy. And so we can find some relief for some of those things. And so cleaning out that Ziploc bag being one of the main things that we're looking for. I'm not a Freudian psychoanalyst. I'm not going to spend 10 years on your childhood. But knowing what that stuff is and being able to process and let it out goes a long way in feeling much better on the inside. Kind of like when you get food poisoning and you throw up, you feel better. And so because you get that poison out of you. So that the analogy kind of follows that way. So that is food for thought, so to speak, for a direction that might need to be addressed if you're really going to find some deep-seated peace in your feelings. So, give me a call. We'll figure out what we need to do. So, to get you hopefully feeling much better and get your Ziploc bag emptied out. So, all right, that's it for today. Thanks. Bye bye.